What's good, y'all? Human Trafficker Exposer, DK Hollow, baby. Alright, my first video on YouTube. Now, I'm using TikTok to record this, but I'm going to post it on my YouTube, and I'll post it to my Instagram if Instagram allows videos longer than a minute, which I'm not sure if they do or not, but I'll try, you feel me? Today I got a human trafficking story that I was in, personally. This story actually scarred me for life. I won't lie, it's fucked up, but oh yeah, and also I decided to make a big step in my TikTok and YouTube career that I just started on YouTube. My barely just started YouTube career and my TikTok career. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys exactly where this human trafficking house is at, so then you guys can avoid it, alright? If you live here in Phoenix, Arizona, of course. So look, at the time of the story, I was homeless at the time, selling pills. You feel me? My family, had I was on the streets because my family had kicked me out and shit. Cause I fucked up on too many deals, cause they was trying to teach me how to trap and shit, and I was doing it wrong. So they kicked me out, and I was on my own, right? So I was homeless, and I was holding signs on the highway for a little bit. And then I decided to say, fuck that. I'm just going to save up enough money for like a 50 pack of, blues and shit. Blues, aka the fentanyl pills and all that. And basically, I got myself a 50 pack of blues, aka, like the fentanyl pills and shit. And I was trying to sell them, but I didn't have, too much luck on selling them and shit, right? Because I didn't have any clientele. So with that being said, because I didn't have any clientele, I wasn't moving the 50 pack too quickly, So I said, you know what, fuck that. I need to go make some more clients, you feel me? Because I only had a couple of clients that bought off me, and then I'd have the occasional other people that would buy off me, that would see me like, hey bro, you got blues? Hey bro, you got blues? Like, yeah bro, I got them, you feel me? So, I was tired of standing on the street corner. I wanted to build up a clientele, so then when people saw me, they knew that I had this shit and would want to buy off me. So, I approached my homie, and he said, hey, bro, do you think that you can help me get some clientele, and I'll reimburse you? And he said, yeah, dog, and, he was homeless at the time as well. And, it was, some black dude. I forgot his fucking name. And basically, long story short, he said that he knew a trap house that was near the area where we were at, because I was staying on 59th and Bethany Homes. Yeah, I was staying over on Bethany on 59th Avenue in Bethany Homes, and he said that he knew a trap house that was just a little bit down the street, right? So we go ahead, we start chopping it up, talking and shit, talking about reimbursements and shit for him. And I said, well, look, just depending on how many clients and sales I can make at the trap house, bet, I will give you I said a good 20% cut. And he said, all right then, deal. And I said, look, I don't need you being upset with me because of, look, I don't want you being upset with me because I said 20% and we agreed on 20%, and it just depends on how much I make. So you can't be upset if it's a little amount of money. It's just how I do. If you really want a good amount of money out of that percent, then you got to give me some good clientele. That has to be your priority. We can't be fucking around. And basically at this trap house, it was like a trap house owned by this lady, and there was a 3-strike rule there. The first strike, you get beat the fuck up. The second strike, they really send you to the hospital type shit, and then the third strike, they just kill you. So basically, the way that this trap house worked is that they kind of had a membership type thing. That's the best way I can explain it. It kind of worked like a membership. You have to know the lady that owns the house, and if you don't know her, then you can't get in. But my homie, my kinfolk homie, he happened to know her, so he got me into the trap house and said, hey, he's cool. I remember, he knocked on the door, and then he knocked on the window, and then he knocked on the door again, and then some tweaker opened up the door, and was like, hey, bro, who the fuck is that? He said, oh, he's cool. Trust me, he's cool. He's just trying to run up his money a little bit. You feel me? I said, all right, cool. So, after that, you know, me and some other dealers that were like me and shit, you know, were serving it up. I sat down, I started serving it up as well. I was talking to the other dealers and shit. I smoked me a little bit of, you know, meth and shit, and I was like smoking some, you know, some of my own product and shit. And, you know, after some time had passed, you know, I wasn't, you know, I had made money there, but, you know, not, you know, too much money because something happened, obviously, you feel me? But we're talking about a human trafficking story here, you feel me? So, look, you know, I didn't make too much money because most of it was just dealers who needed to be supplied, you know what I mean? So, you know, most of the dealers there were, you know, needing to buy off a plug. The plug hasn't showed up yet. And then there was, like, you know, some clients, 4 dealers there, and I was serving it up. And, you know, some tweakers that came in, and more tweakers came in and out of the house, and I was able to make some money, you feel me? It wasn't all that bad. But then something happened. Alright? After sitting down there for like a good hour and shit, the lady that owned the house, she had said, look, everyone needs to get into a room right now. So, you know, I was pretty confused because I had never been to a trap house before that. Before that, I had literally never had ever been to a trap house. So, I was like, what the fuck? Okay. So, me and my homie, my little kinfolk homie and shit, we went into the bathroom and shit because all the other rooms were all taken up. And we didn't want to be kicked out the house. So, basically, we went into the fucking bathroom. I smoked a pill, he smoked a pill and shit. We smoked a little bit of meth and shit in the bathroom and shit. And, like, I'm asking him, hey, bro, like, why they have us sent to the why the lady who owns the house tell us to go into the rooms? And he said, oh, yeah, this is a human trafficking trap house by Midnight Productions. And if you guys don't know what Midnight Productions is a human trafficking organization here in Phoenix, Arizona. That human traffic people from all over the valley, you know what I mean? And so basically Glendale, Phoenix, Maryville, Superior, no, not Superior, Avondale, Chandler, Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert, Scottsdale, you know, all those cities and shit, right? All the cities in the valley. And basically, I was like, what the fuck I said, bro, are you being serious? You sent me to Midnight Productions Human Trafficking Trap House? And he said, yeah, bro, you want to make some money, and that was the closest place that I could possibly even find. So I said, no. So I was really, really pissed off. I said, bro, why did you bring me here, dog? And basically, you know, me and him got real bored because, like, it was taking up a long time just for, you know, just to let us out of the rooms and, you know, and shit, right? So he said, hey, bro, do you want to, like, sneak out of the bathroom and see what they're doing? And I said, bro, we're going to end up getting killed. And he said, come on, dog, stop being a pussy, bro. I said, all right, bro, if you gonna fuck you, I ain't no pussy. Bad mistake, bro, because we had to walk into a hallway to get into the bathroom. So we walked out of the we walked out of the bathroom and slowly crept out the hallway, and we look around the corner. Like, you know, so, like, imagine that this is, like, you know, like, where the hallway ends. We were looking around the corner like that, and we see the woman of the house and 2 guys. One Mexican and one white guy. Both big and buff as fuck. And there was some girl on the ground tied up from her arms to her legs. Her arms were tied behind her back. Her legs were tied up, and she had a gag in her mouth. And when we looked around the corner, when I saw her, she made eye contact with me. And she was jumping and screaming and trying to bring herself over to me and shit. But then when they saw that, when the lady in the house and the 2 guys saw that, they looked up and saw where she was, you know, directing herself to. They saw me and the kinfolk. And, bro, man, they beat the hell out of us, bro. That was strike 1. And they said that because we saw what we saw, if we get strike 2, we're dead. So after that, I just never went back to that trap house ever again. This trap house is on 59th and Glendale. This is on 59th Avenue in Glendale. Alright, stay away from that area. I forget the exact address, but that's exactly where the trap house is at. Stay clear, y'all. I'll tell you guys the rest of the story on, you know, in the second part, right?